Hi, everyone. It is Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it is Tip Tuesday, and I'm live on both Instagram, and on YouTube on our new YouTube channel. So you can watch wherever it's easiest for you, and I'm trying not to have two different screens to look at the same time, doing my best to get those in alignment, but I do have two screens to look at the same time. Hi, you guys. And then we're also running it on YouTube now, which is really exciting. This is a new thing for Unicorn Wellness and the community because if you miss it in this 24 hours, because Instagram keeps it for 24 hours, then you can find it on YouTube in perpetuity, which is pretty fun. So as you guys get into the room, say hi. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to be able to see everybody's comments and maybe throw a little emoji up. But Tuesdays are our time to really gather. If you all have questions from this week's session lesson, this is a great space to ask your questions in. Hi, Chris. And I see Paula and I see Pearl. And I have a little list of housekeeping things that are just real basics. And then today I really wanted to go over like kind of my top 7 self-care holiday tips. And on UnicornWellness.Studio as members over there, I mean, this is what we're doing full time, is practicing learning and then practicing self-care and understanding, hi Shauna, how to keep energy and stress levels and your personal magic in a safe space, right? In a balanced space and in a growing and expanding space. And during the holiday season, that gets a little more challenging for lots of reasons. And so I thought today would be a great time to just go over those 7 points, something outside of the newsletter, something outside of our session lessons, and something that I kind of woke up to this morning and went, yep, we should probably go over that for me as well, right? We are all in this together. Oh, Pearl, yeah, today's video of the day. So today's workout on UnicornWellness.Studio is kind of tough, huh? You know, there's sneaky things in there. I tend to do a lot of sneaky work, right? They're 30 minutes at a time. Some days I know, because I hear from members, that they feel like, that was like, I didn't feel like we did anything, right? And then 24 hours later, they're like, I feel what we did. Today, you know, on the site, it's more of a flow. It's more of our moon flavored flow because we're still in the new moon energy. And it's a toughie. There's some pieces in it that are certainly tough. Hi, you guys. I see Liz and Jill, and I'm really, really trying to work these screens in a way that's not super crazy. So hi. I'm going to try not to let today's tangent slide off into my personal vent. I'm having quite a day and a little bit of a week. So if you're in our private Facebook group, I just posted this hysterical little meme that I saw, and it was like, yeah, that's the energy of my 2 weeks. Everything's great. Like, everything's really good. I feel a beautiful forward motion. There's clearly transition and growth for all of us, always. But Mercury retrograde on top of the Venus retrograde, on top of Chiron going direct, which we haven't talked much about as a group, on top of what else? The new moon, and these big, cycle closures of 2018. There's just a lot. And I feel like I'm getting like these weird twists and turns where you're like, that's not a big deal. It's just really weird. And pause. Got to think about that. How do I navigate around that? So if you guys, I'm just going to say hi, and I'm totally reaching up in everybody's business to wave at everybody over on Instagram. I am sparkling today. So, okay. So Liz just said you're sparkling today. I am sparkling today, and there's a reason for it. So one little shout out. She's a unicorn in our community. I always throw this in because I think it's hysterical. It's my husband's ex-wife. So she sent me this piece. She has a page that she curates on Posh. Is it Poshmark? She's at Darling Velvet on Instagram. You guys should go follow it because she curates these wonderful vintage pieces. And so I reached out about this piece and I was like, I need that. That says unicorn all over. And she's like, I'll send it to you as a gift. And so I was like, this is amazing. I haven't worn it yet. I hadn't tried it on. Today is one of those like weirdly rough days. And I'm just going to share a little bit because that's what we do around here. I want to hear about your days and your weeks, and I'm going to share mine. So this week we've had some interesting twists and turns just as a business, tiny things behind the scenes. You're like, that's weird and not working. And I just planned to do this. That's going to make that a little harder. Okay, how do I navigate? And I woke up going, okay, it's shooting week. I'm going to go film your videos for you. And my youngest is sick. He's had a cough. I think he's fine, but he needs to stay home. Like I didn't feel good sending him and I don't want it to get any worse. So I'm like, that's basically a day off for me. Like I can't shoot. So I'm sitting here trying to navigate all of these things. And my husband's looking at me in the kitchen and he goes, I'm really, really proud of how well you're taking all of this today. Cause we've had like a couple of like layers. And he said this last week to me also. And I thought, well, there's a reflection of growth. Like normally I probably would have been in tears, right? Or have just like pissed off, like nothing's going as I planned it. It's all gonna be terrible. And I just stopped today and I went, this pertains to the shirt, Liz, I promise. It just shows the growth where I went, well, you gotta go with the flow, right? Like we gotta flow a little bit here. There's an adjustment. I can still get it done this week. It's just gonna look different than what I planned, right? And there's no fighting it. Baby health comes first, my health comes first, and sometimes you got to work around that. Meanwhile, we're like, how can we win today? How can we feel good about moving forward today? Because we can't solve everything in this moment in the kitchen. And he's like, okay, I will go get groceries because I can't go do this. You make the list. And I was like, okay, we'll have food, right? Food, water, shelter first in the house. And made a little sub list of like, what can I do while we watch movies today in bed and snuggle? And that sounds amazing for mommy too, right? And then as I'm getting ready for you guys this morning, I thought, I need to sparkle. I need to be shiny today. I want to dress up for you all. And I want to celebrate a little bit. And I want to put something on that's going to like kind of lift me up a little bit. So I wore the sparkles on purpose because it's a tactic of mine on days that I really don't feel very well. Living with autoimmune disorders and managing them, there's a significant amount of those days. And they just come with the territory. So I tend to really dress up on days that I'm feeling a little daunted by the things that are the challenges that need to be solved. So I'm sparkling today, Liz, because I had quite the list of like, that's not working. That's changing. Oh, that's not how this recovering perfectionist had planned it for today. So let's throw out some sparkles. Have a little party with it. So I am sparkling for you all, but also to help motivate and soothe some of the challenges of today. So I've got a little list here. Let's do tiny housekeeping first, okay? So if you guys are in the room, go ahead and say hi, put up a little emoji so that I know, and it keeps the feed rolling too, which is really awesome. Tuesdays are the day for questions, right? If you have questions or comments that you really want my one-on-one attention or the group's attention, I'm totally shady today. This is a great space to do it in. So lesson 2 went out on Sunday. Lesson 2 of your Moon Mama session totally focused on movement and why it's not just a workout, how it heals and expands and balances energy, and how we are a physical body and movement is not optional. This is not something that we can take off and put on our to-do list as we so choose. It's really necessary for genuine long-term health and wellness. We're built to move. So I feel, especially in our community of members at UnicornWellness.Studio, that's kind of like, we get it. We know we're here for the map, right? And so if there's questions about it, awesome. If you all are non-members watching this, welcome. And you can go watch lesson 2 and lesson 1 on YouTube and just kind of see what it's all about. It's really deeper than a workout. It is about your wellness, your mental, your emotional, and physical, of course, and energetics. And this is the energetics portion is what I'm most interested in really for the last 20 years, because I see how it changes people and their energy shifts and then what they're willing to do and what they're capable of creating and helping absolutely changes. So perhaps because I got on the mat yesterday and was shooting new workouts for you, that today I'm capable of dealing with the shenanigans. So lesson 2 is out. Your assignment this week is to press play and get on the mat, okay? And this rolls into okay, what am I doing here? I'm doing the housekeeping first. But lesson 2 really rolls into these 7 tips that I have that I just want to share with you. They're not, they're not life-shattering tips. They're just really functional bullet points to work with during the holiday season when things get more chaotic and more stress. Yeah, totally, Liz, you got it. So getting on the mat is one of those, getting on the mat or wearing something sparkly is totally more constructive than self-soothing with comfort foods and crappy sugars and alcohol that's going to give you the hangover after sugars too, right? So we all need self-soothing techniques. I believe that. And we're going to do that as humans when we're uncomfortable. So how we do that really matters. And as something as silly as putting on a sparkly shirt can really do it and shift. Like, how am I going to be mad in this shirt, right? Like, just can't. Might as well have a little disco, a little party, right? So housekeeping first. Lesson 2 came out, right? It's all about the workouts this week. So go press play. Have you been on the mat? It's Tuesday. Get your booty there as many days as humanly possible. It's really important in December because of the energies that we're working with. 2, yesterday I got to spend the morning doing a masterclass on energy with the School of Betty. She is also a unicorn on our site and amazing and doing really cool things with her community and group, mostly based in beginning and finances, but she does lifestyle things as well. So managing finances and how, energetics play into your money is not something that I cover on Unicorn Wellness. So I love the School of Betty because it feeds in similar philosophies, but handles the piece that I don't handle, right? That was for her members that I did this masterclass yesterday. And it was really fun, but you're going to hear her, Brianna Firestone of the School of Betty, on our podcast on the 22nd of December. So you'll get to know her then. Yeah, Shauna, totally. So Brianna is a member. She and I have known each other for over 20 years. And she is just, she's been working and brewing this, and it's super cool and totally online with what we do. So really, really neat stuff. And a wonderful joint community. What else? So School of Betty is kind of in the mix, and you're going to hear more from Brianna and myself. We did this offering for her members, and we're kind of trying to work an offering from her for you all in the spring. So that's something coming up. Also on Thursday, so this Thursday, in 2 days. Is that 2 days? I never know how to count it. That seems really silly. Thursday, December 13th. On Instagram, and I'm pointing because my Instagram's live right now too. I have a surprise for you all. This is part of the piece that I have this whole neat thing planned for you all on Thursday. And there's some small behind the scene things that are a little weird where I'm like, is this going to work? Okay. If you're not already following me on Instagram, please do. On Thursday, you're going to want to. I leaked it to the private Facebook group because I know some of y'all, that's a big stretch to get on Instagram. And then look how many of you are already there. I love you guys. But on Thursday morning, you will need to watch my feed, my Instagram feed. So it's Tandy_Gutierrez. There's a surprise, and I leaked it in the private Facebook group. So if you weren't there, you can go back and scroll through and look in the private Facebook group. If not, just wait till Thursday. It's really fun. Okay. So again, this is all holiday oriented. I don't go into the total basics of holiday stuff for lots of reasons. But this is a give in a season where you feel like, you're giving so much. This is a time to get. Okay, so Thursday morning, December 13th, head over to Instagram on my profile page, on the page, not in the stories. I have a surprise for you. Okay, so there's that, and I'm just checking in with the comments, and I can't see everything all at the same time, but I'm trying. What else we got? Yeah, Shauna, you'll really enjoy each other. No, you don't have to be there. So for Thursday morning on Instagram, it's not a live, it's not a video thing. It is something I will post in the morning. So my morning posts are usually, I'm going to try to do it around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's not anything that you'll miss. Thursday, just go back to the page. I'm going to post it Thursday morning, between 8 and 9 Eastern Standard Time. And then it'll be up but you want to see it. I promise. You want to be able to participate in it. You don't have to be present at that time. You just need to check the feed, and I'm just giving you a heads up because I put a little something together. I'm really excited about it. I had a bummer moment this morning because it was like some other things are just not supporting it, which is like, what? Why? I don't know why. We're going to roll with it. Okay. That is the last bit of housekeeping. Okay. So then we roll into one. I reached out to Vanessa, our community manager, this morning. I was like, I'm a little on the struggle bus and I have some ideas for this morning. I've got notes, but of course things always change. Like, what do you think people need to hear? And she said, she's so great. She was like, well, that 8 of Cups card keeps coming up in the daily readings for us as a collective. You might want to talk about that one. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty true. So I do the daily tarot polls on Instagram and post them. As a collective, what are we healing? You know, what is the energy we're working with and kind of the spirit in which to move through things? And it's mostly Monday through Friday. I tend to take a break on the weekends so I can be present with my family. And that 8 of Cups card, we've gone from a 7 of Cups to an 8 of Cups. And 8 of Cups is really interesting. And I thought it was even better that she called it out because it drew extra attention for me towards it. 8 of Cups is really about walking away from things that no longer serve us. This really speaks to the 7 pieces we're going to talk about for holiday self-care, which can apply to any time of the year, but holiday time is more intense, okay? There's just no way around that, and we need to have extra attention on how we deal with it when stress levels go up, when our commitment levels are spread wider, or when there's being more asked of us. So 8 of Cups is just straight up like, you know this doesn't work anymore. Why are you doing it? And it's okay. It's a constructive, empowering walk away. That card often looks a little sad, a little morose, but it's not. It's understanding, you know, the yin and yang, the joy and the sorrow, the melancholy and the, love and abundance. Like that they're two sides of the same coin, and that there always comes a time when something's finished. And so we're coming up towards the end of the year. It's the Gregorian calendar. It's not considered to be the witch's new year or the, seasonal, end of the year. It is, but it's just different. Do you know what I mean? Like we're closing things out in winter. Things are dying off. They're going quiet. It is the time to walk away from things. Within all the energies that we talk about each month, but in specific, October, November, December of the Unicorn Wellness Monthly Magazine and the new and the full moon cycles, we're being called out to you got to step into the new and into the empowered, into your passion, into your heart path. We're all being asked to grow bigger than what we're comfortable with. Sag energy is fearless and shameless. They will show up naked and go, what is your problem? This is how I'm supposed to be, and just enjoy it. Sag brings the party. So we are getting pushed bigger, louder, more out front. And it's an interesting transition. And so things that we've been asking for, things that we want, it's still uncomfortable. And so that card keeps coming up. And even myself, I'm having a moment this week with one thing in particular and another one very similar the week before, but cleaned it up and was able to go, it's okay, I'll just walk away. And so now I'm standing in that same moment going, why are you standing here again? You know what you're supposed to be walking away from. That means you're walking towards something else. So today in particular, this week in particular, because of the new moon, and I know it's fresh starts and new beginnings, but this has been classic for the last 3 months for us of these new moons are still about releasing and stepping into something new. And before you can really step into something new, you got to ditch something else. It's good old energy clearing, house cleaning. Something new cannot come in until you really release and clean out something else. You have to make space. So this 8 of Cups, this season, holiday season, can feel morose. It can feel dark and sad. And that card can often look really dark and sad about what we don't have, what we no longer have, what we wish we had. And this comes up in relationships mostly at this time of year, right? But please remember, it is the classic of when you are walking away from something, you're walking towards something else. It can be a very empowered walk. And knowing that you're leaving things that no longer serve your highest and greatest good should be one of the most loving, empowering things you could possibly do. But transition is difficult, releasing is difficult, ending things is difficult. And as a culture, we think that if we stop doing something, that means that we've failed at it. Or if we move on from something, it's because it wasn't successful. Sometimes the universe says, you just need to go that way. That's going to be better. But we resist the transitions, which is part of the discomfort. I'm going to check in on the communications. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Jill, it's just classic. Like, you're leaving one job, you're moving to another one. This makes you feel like a disease. You know, it's like, oh, that's uncomfortable because it's the unknown. But it's really constructive. And if we go back to, keep pointing my finger at October for a lot of these things that we have been discussing in the Unicorn Wellness monthly magazine, you know, is that we have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Transition is the name of the game. And I am not exempt from this. I've been on the struggle bus last week and this week. And this morning, I can hear it very clearly what I'm supposed to be doing, what the message of this stuff was. I'm still irritated by it. I'm still human. I still have to deal with it. And I still have to solve for certain aspects of things. So let me know how you all are feeling and thinking about that Eight of Cups. Did you see it come up repeatedly in the card layouts on Instagram? Did you take note of it? I mean, it's okay if you didn't. But that's really, it's about going with the flow. Hello, your workout on the site today. Your VOD is moon flow, right? So this is about, can we make the clunky transitions more fluid? Can we seamlessly move from one thing to the next? So when we talk about flow in our physical practice on the mat, this is in alignment with lesson 2 this week of your Moon Mama session. Flow is all about transition. So I'm not always about the pretty transitions. This is, I think, a personality thing and giving permission to just do rather than have things be perfect. When I teach a yoga flow, or even when I teach Pilates, it doesn't always have this perfect fluid, flowing movement, because life rarely is perfect and fluid, right? And so I think it's okay to have clunky transitions. However, ebb and flow, yin and yang, focus on one thing and the other thing comes into balance, that there is a focus on flow on the mat for these 3 days. It is fascinating. We're getting a little rocky waters right now, right? We're being asked to plan for long-term strategy because there are weird twists and turns happening right now on purpose, because they're trying to herd us away from things. They being God, divine spirit, higher self, guides and guardian angels. So one of the things that I've been called to share with you this morning is that when you get blocked out of something, when you feel like, hey, I'm walking down this path and I made this plan. I'm going to go open this door and walk through that door and I made an appointment there. And you get to the door and it's like nobody's ever lived there. Like it's locked. It's got some weird danger sign across it. Or it's like, or there's not even a door there and you've been to the same place a million times. And all of a sudden you're like, what? That spirit is kind of blocking you out of something, right? And then it kind of ushers you towards something else. It's really important in certain times in your life to stop and go, where is the energy right now? What is being supported? What is not being supported? What is being made really difficult? Or what's being, called out with a lot of clarity? This is not working. You should not be here because there's no response. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm a little airy in things. What's the best way? I don't know if you guys are understanding this or not, or if that makes sense. But it's really important, and this directly relates to the Eight of Cups and this time of year of feeling kind of in your skin about things and in your feels and in the die-off of the season and in self-evaluation. This is like, caterpillar to a butterfly. Ground crawler, happy, eating, mobile, having a life. Then builds a cocoon. Before it gets to this beautiful butterfly stage, it emulsifies, turns to mush. I feel like we're kind of in the mush stage right now. That it's like, okay, I can't really go anywhere, but spirit really is closing off certain doors or having weird twists and turns happen so that you consider, well, if I can't do that, if that doesn't work, if this isn't an open door with trumpets and sunshine, should I really be here? Why am I knocking on a door that won't open? Does that make sense? So that can come in very practical ways. I find it in my life in very practical ways. And you just have to listen, and we have to learn to go with the flow. We have to learn to walk away and go, well, I tried that. Now I know it's not for me because the door won't open. I got to walk this way now. Okay. And spirit goes, yes. You're listening. It was a little bit of a test. Are you listening where things are working and where they're not working? And it can take us a little while. We're human. It's okay. But there's a lot of transition going on right now. So I'm trying to find a better way than like reaching over the YouTubes every time to see this, but then they're side by side. Whoa. All right, Paula, I'm dying to know what that was. Because when we can drop something, that's when real magic happens. This is like, so week 3, your lesson 3 for the Moon Mama session is all about full moon, right? And this is the lesson of the full moon. So we're kind of hopping ahead a little bit. Lesson of the full moon is what's being brought to fruition, what is culminating, what have you made, what have you put out, what have you finished, what's getting a spotlight in your life, right? Like what's getting attention, and then what to release that no longer serves you. So this week, these couple weeks, December, let's be honest, are really running these themes home. Like we were blaming Mercury retrograde, but Mercury retrograde is just very loud right now because it's an important month that we're culminating in, right? What have you not taken care of? Here's what you needed to hear. We're going to shock you and do it in big, loud, ugly ways because you hadn't done it yet. I will say that mine are not big, loud, and ugly. They're just weird and uncomfortable. And you're like, what? Okay. Kind of a little shake your head off kind of thing. So when you are able to drop something that you've potentially been doing your entire life, like, what? That's huge. I mean, I totally want to hear all about that. Yeah, it really is a big old question right now. Like, where are we being blocked out of? What do we want? Which goes back to lesson 1 of Moon Mama session last week. So the assignment for your new moon ritual is to journal and say, what do I want? In a completely fairy tale space. There are no responsibilities, no financial issues, no obligations, and no responsibilities. Nobody who's going to poo-poo your idea or smash it. Like, what does your heart really want? When you have magic at your fingertips and complete imagination and play and silliness, what do you want? And that's a big deal. And so, there's 2 sides that I'm hearing in the private Facebook group and from you all privately, is that one, okay, I had to get it on paper. That's all. I hadn't taken the time to really write it out and look at it. And then I went, oh yeah, no, this is totally what I want. But the bigger feedback is, I have no idea. Okay, well, that's fantastic because there's no place to go but up with that, right? If you don't know, it's like having a blank canvas. What do you want to make? You got infinite possibilities and infinite potential. So, make sure that you're still looking at that question, even if you didn't fulfill it in the new moon 4 days, right? Because this is an eternal question to be working with. What do I want? It gets to change. It gets to transition. You absolutely get to not know. However, if you continue to not know, guess what? Ain't nothing really magic going to happen in your life. Because the big deal with divine spirit and working as a co-creator in your life is that you have to put your finger on, you have to put your order in. Man, I haven't put my order in, but I also feel like the universe is like, we hear you, but we're going to move you a little bit this way. We hear you, we're going to move you a little bit this way. Like, it's co-creatorship, fate and free will. Free will has so much to do with things. So if you don't know what you want or are struggling with the journaling prompts, This is just a big old call out that this is where you need to work. And the Eight of Cups says, what can you walk away from? So as a collective, we're being pointed in the direction to look at. There's something or some things that don't work for you anymore. What's weighing you down? What's dragging you down? What do you not like to do? What do you want? What do you hate spending your time doing? You know, don't do it anymore. Okay. On that note, because there was digression, but good ones, right? I'm trying to still look at all your comments. It is hard to do, but Pearl, it's also not hard to do, right? Like, we can sit down with a pen and paper and we can play and pretend and dream, and anything we write down, it doesn't mean we're writing it into fruition just yet. So you can say a lot of things in journaling and try them on. It's like trying on clothes. Do I want to be a CEO? Do I want to be a stay-at-home mommy? Do I want to run for office? Do I want to move into the woods and speak to no one and grow an organic farm? Like, just try things on, write them out. Once you write them out, how did that feel? Yeah, that was weird. That's not me. That's not what I want. You know, cross it out, erase it, erase, 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 erase. So, and we have to get comfortable trying things on, because when you say them, right, every word we speak is a spell. It brings things into fruition. So this is part of why I'm moving more towards videos, because our words are powerful. They push energy forward. I enjoy this format more than I enjoy other formats. So why am I doing these other formats? I don't like them. That's not going to bring good energy to you all or to the world. So try on things. We also have to, I say have to, I'm going to put my bossy pants on this one. We have to transition our words from that's hard to that's challenging, but I'm going to try. Things are hard when we say they're hard. This is difficult. It's hard to change. It's challenging and uncomfortable to change. It's not really hard to change. It's not. Because we say it is, it makes it so, right? What if we woke up every morning and go, it's easy to make changes. I love to make changes. Sagittariuses love to make changes. What's difficult for them is to pick one and to stick to it. So again, it depends on perspective, right? I have Taurus sun. It is hard to get me to divert from a plan, which is why the universe has to like block me out of things so loudly where I have to go, okay, fine. I'm not going to do that anymore, you know, because I'm really stubborn in it. So let's transition our words, like transition our thoughts. Like, again, if you woke up every morning and go, I know exactly what I want. And y'all are going, that's okay. Fake it till you make it. Put it out in the universe. I know exactly what I want. Spirit's going to whisper it in my ear. I know exactly what I want. I'm just waiting to hear what it is. Like, you know, play with it. Yeah, trying on clothes. It's so important. Like, here's my biggest thing lately. I've had a lot of conversations, a lot of coffee meetings, a lot of feedback with these videos that, you know, people are really scared to make changes, right? They're just resistant. And as a country, I'm going to say it, we're not making changes fast enough. We're not. We've got a planet to save, like it or not. And we need to be changing our personal habits to assist that. And as somebody who has taught wellness, fitness, and self-care for like 20 years now, I see it, that resistance. And I get it, it's human. But instead of being so stuck in our patterns, we need to regain, this is why unicorn, right? Unicorns are infinite possibility, infinite potential, infinite hope, you know, and so we have to reclaim our inner unicorn of, well, how about I just try something? How about I try it on? You know, I don't have to commit to it. And this is like absolutely straightforward for membership on Unicorn Wellness. It's like, I don't need you to sign your life away. What I want is for you to try. I want you to take that free 30-day code and go, it's actually really free. It is a gift. It's not weird. It's not sneaky. You're not getting charged unless you forget to cancel it or if you want to stay. I'm giving you 30 days to try something that could unbelievably transition the course of your life, because you see how trying, you know, was actually kind of fun and completely non-committal, right? So like, you can go try on clothes. You don't have to buy any. That's actually the beauty of the internet, right? You can go try on a bunch of teachers. You can go try on a bunch of people. There's all kinds of ways to get to know people, to whether it's going to resonate and work for you or not. then you can make a commitment to it. But if you don't ever try, you don't ever get anywhere. Now, what we don't want to do is get stuck in trying. I try a lot. Eventually, you're going to have to pick some course of action. But I think it's really important right now more than ever to be willing to try new words, new perspectives, new movement patterns, new ways of thinking about solutions. How are we going to solve for the highest and greatest good? How am I going to cultivate and bring more joy into my life? So there you go. Try on some clothes. Yeah. And that's really a good way to navigate with people. Just try it. Just try. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen, really, when you try something? Mostly not bad things. Okay. So now, here we go. All right. Holiday self-care basics. I have a side note for the holiday self-care basics. The side note for holiday self-care basics is gift giving, because it is holiday season. And I know we've talked about this a little bit, and I sent some additional emails, and we talked in a Tangent Tuesday about it. Do not get suckered into buying things simply because you feel like you should, or you have to, or you always have. We live in a capitalistic society. So this culture says you're only worthy if you've got money to spend, or if you spend money, the power of the purchase. There's a lot of power in your purchase, right? But how you do that and when you do it is your own damn business. And only do it if you've got the budget to do it. Your love is not coming through a gift. And nobody is owed something at the holidays. And do not give ever unless you really feel like giving. And don't give just to receive. And simply because you're receiving does not mean you have to have guilt and shame for not giving. Okay, that's kind of the bullet list. If you want to, and you can, and you love to give and have the capacity to do so, then do. And when you do, give conscious gifts. What supports that person's highest and greatest good? What supports their evolvement as a human and a heart? What generates more joy and love? Give things that don't need to be wrapped, an experience, a service, right? Give things that they would not normally do for themselves because it will support their soul and is a genuine like joy sparkle. Like, I would never do that. That's amazing. Look at ways to fill and support. You know, I think gift cards for groceries is always a lovely one for certain things because food, water, shelter, you know, granted it's often a plastic card, but you don't wrap it. It's something very functional that takes things out of their yearly day-to-day budget, right? So look at things that really support, that don't need to be wrapped. Businesses that you love to support, right? Like we can go into my offerings, but I won't today because it's not necessary. If you guys are giving things, then you're going to get something from me this year. So there's an interplay of stuff. The donation bits, like what would you normally spend? There are things in the world that need our help right now. Put the money there. And if other people don't understand that, that is their business and problem to deal with. That's where their triggers and issues are. And it's not up to you to deal with them. Okay. So it's a side note. Oh, I'm looking at comments. Sorry. Whoosh. Yeah. Well, this is just it, Shauna. Like she brings up a good point on YouTube, is that the guilt and the shame from family members, we're still dealing with it. And we, because we have kids, like we have sent out the same email and phone call requested, do not send plastic toys into our house. Like, yes, they find our way here anyhow sometimes. I just don't need a specific time of year where like major ones show up. And inevitably, it's not heard, you know? So we can only try to set boundaries and be clear about what we're capable of doing without the guilt and shame. And it takes practice. And there's always feedback. And it's usually family who just doesn't get it. So here's the 7 points of self-care basics for the holiday season. And I'm just going to go through these and then we'll have jumping off points where we need them. Some of these are really unicorn basics, right? Like, okay, the first one, that was funny because I didn't do that on purpose. Hydrate. Okay, it's winter and it's, you know, in the Northern Hemisphere, it's cold and it can be really dry. In the warmer months, we remember hydrate because we're sweating and we're hot and we go, oh, I need to be hydrated. So we tend to run dehydrated in the cooler months because we're not being reminded in the sunshine that we need to drink water. So hydration is always like number one on my list because that's going to keep the body healthy, keep you flushed and flowing. It's huge for energy levels and for unicorns in the world. If you know you run psychic energies, like if you know that you have those capacities and rails are highly sensitive, highly empathetic, clairsentient, claircognizant, then you need water because that helps those things move through you. Like it's like a conduit. Like when you're dry, it's like those energies get stuck and it becomes anxiety and weird depression. So if you can stay hydrated, this is huge. And I just find that people are less hydrated in the cooler months in fall and winter because we don't think about it. But I'm in Brooklyn and we've got radiators and it's really dry heat. And I'm like, oh my God, like I need almost not double, but I need more than what I think I do. So hydration is number one on the holiday self-care list. Super simple, doesn't cost anything. It's a matter of maintenance and real genuine food, water, shelter, self-care of the physical vessel, but also affects you energetically, emotionally, because when the energies are good, then you're going to feel better and think clear. Okay? All right. 2, meditate. And I know you're going to go, you always teach meditation. Yeah, I do. But this is in the Northern Hemisphere, holiday season is the winter. It is the time of dying off. It is a time of hibernation. So this is one of these weird, counterculture things that we're doing that is not our primal set point. So we have holiday season during a season where we are supposed to hunker down and hibernate and not talk to people. Okay, so then we've got the holiday season that's implemented at this time. This is the wrong time for holiday season. It says we're supposed to engage and socialize and party and travel and be with family. And then we wonder why we have these high rates of depression and anxiety and frustration and seasonal disorder at this time. Yes, some of it's lack of vitamin D, but this is actually because our primal set point is to go, it's dark and chilly and I'm going to go home and snuggle and read and write and journal and meditate. So this time of year, number 2 on the list is meditation. We need more restock, regathering, refueling time for ourselves internally because the season calls for it. Our primal molecular cellular memory knows that, which is why it fights the season, which is why those of us who are sensitive, who are empaths, who are psychic, who go, I just can't, I'm not going to that party. Or when you go, you just feel terrible afterwards. Or because those of us who are in that category all have seasonal disorder. Because it goes against the primal set point. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's what it's called or not. It's really against the grain for this to be socialization time, party time, connecting time. It is time to get quiet and to meditate and to listen and to really go, what do I think? What do I feel? What do I want? What is it time to walk away from? Where is the universe blocking me out of things? How can I use that information for my highest and greatest good to put me on path as a conduit of light in this incarnation? Okay, so meditation is number 2 on my list today because that's really the time of year that it is. The immediate follow-up to meditation, number 3, is journaling. Because, and this is why we're doing Moon Mama this month, we are not really supposed to be hyper engaged right now. I mean, engaged in a community, normal, but not this hyper speed, okay? And so there's a lot that we're thinking about that we need to understand, that we need to sort through. If you don't know what you want, you must take the time to sit and journal and go, I don't know what I want. I thought I wanted this. I used to want this. Maybe I'll try this on. Nope, that sounds weird. Maybe I'll try this. My heart just got real happy for me to write that. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tool in this period of time. It is cooler outside. You're supposed to be inside and quiet. What are you going to do when you're inside? Write and meditate and get on the mat, and hydrate yourself and really work through. Winter is meant to work through these internal pieces so that we can sprout and grow and begin in the spring, okay? So I'm checking in on anybody. If there's questions, comments, keep them coming. So number 1, hydrate. Number 2, meditate. Number 3, journal. Number 4, move, get on the mat. This is the simple basic. This is why it's the anchor of the membership at UnicornWellness.Studio. Movement cleans out the energies. It warms the bones and the joints and the muscles, ligaments, tendons, and tissues. It sweeps out negative energies. It increases your endorphin levels and your circulation. So it just lends itself to more patience, more calm, more energy, more capacity to deal and navigate with the holiday season. The holiday season becomes stressed and busy. And we're going to address this down here in another number here in just a second. It's the facts of it. You have the choice of participating in the frenzy and the stress or not. That's one. If you're constantly saying yes to things and doing things because you always have or because you should or because other families guilting you and shaming you into it, shame on you. There's a lesson for you. Okay? Meanwhile, we can't just always do exactly what we want to do. We will need to make some compromises for people we love or feel like we're easing out of patterns we're not ready to totally jump ship from, but we want to make a constructive transition in them. Getting on the mat keeps the physical vessel healthy and happy. And we know all the science reasons for why it is a de-stressor. So in December in particular, it is more important than ever to get on the mat. You won't feel like it because of all of these external forces, but it's a home project. It's a quiet thing. Your membership and getting on the mat is a self-practice. This is one of the most fascinating things about it, is that it really is genuinely a self-practice. You're not going into a studio social setting. You get to engage as a community. But when you're doing your workout and doing your movement patterns, you get to receive as a private client. There's not talk between us, right? You show up, you press play, you listen to the cueing, you do your movement. It's a very fill up time, and it's necessary and really important in the winter to stay moving because we're not outside as much. And so we need this extra sweep out, okay? All right, here we go. Here's the silly one. It's on my list today, and I'm offering it to you all. Dress up. I think that's the fun part of the holiday season, is that you get an excuse to wear sparkles anywhere, anytime, and you can just call it holiday wear and nobody bats an eyelash, you know, like enjoy the fun pieces of the holiday that you like and try to leave the rest. When you're feeling low and overwhelmed, there is something to be said for taking care of your body, for giving a little extra, you know, eyeliner and makeup if it calls to you, and putting something nice on, okay? Dressing your body, it's an external representation of your soul. And Shauna, I'm calling you out on this one because you've had a lot of interesting work in that area this year and being called to do that, right? It's not that it's the most important thing, no, but does it help your soul align in its physical space when you're comfortable in the clothes you're wearing? Yes. And this is a little bit of dress for the job you want, not the job you have. If you're feeling low and frazzled and a little like, I just can't. You know, this morning the sparkles called to me because I went, if I'm wearing this, yes, I can. I will make this mess a party and I will handle it. You know, so I feel like getting dressed in these months, because if you have a schedule or it's quiet, you know, we can get into this, I'm calling myself out here, sweats, and anything that's just like wearing your bedding. That's me because I'm cold all the time. And then we kind of feel like we're not awake and we're not participating in the world, and that we lose a little bit of the unicorn sparkle, infinite possibility, and hope. We do not need to go guns blazing every day, but I think dressing up is a really fun way, putting on something a little nicer to go, okay, I'm not going to get dragged down by the challenges right now. I'm just going to enjoy all the small pieces of life that I can. Okay, so getting dressed up was one of them. Wearing some sparkly bits, I think, is really fun. And if that's totally outside your comfort zone, you should try it. You know, be your own tree. I don't know. So there's that. I put dress up on the list because I think that's one of the fun things of holidays. Like, you can wear sparkles anywhere and nobody questions you. Okay, here we go into some of the more serious holiday self-care bits, right? I mean, they're all useful. Okay, number one, say no. No is a complete sentence. Okay, so Brianna over at the School of Betty, she and I talked about this yesterday. This is one of my favorites. It's coming up more and more and more and more and more, right? When you practice self-care is about getting grounded and calm. and setting boundaries that allow you to be more focused, feel like you have time to breathe, time to make decisions, to feel comfortable with the decisions that you're making. Self-care is about keeping energetic levels in balance, not feeling overly stressed, not feeling overly, adrenaline, not overly happy, but, trying to live in this hyper range. Getting grounded and is about, so that's what self-care is about. So being in a calm space where you feel like you get to make heart-centered decisions in a thoughtful manner that really resonate. So saying no is unbelievably powerful and important this time of year. And it's okay for people to ask. Please remember that, because I know that sometimes we can get like, oh my God, why are they asking me to do one more thing? Yet stop rolling your eyes. Everyone's allowed to ask for what they want or need, even if it seems out of order. But you have a responsibility that if that's your, response to it, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I mean, if you want to say it that way, I don't think you need to apologize, but no, that's not a fit for me right now. I can't fulfill that right now. I'm sorry. Thank you for asking. That's not going to work. Okay. So saying no is unbelievably powerful and super important right now in these holiday seasons. This really goes in line with family things and boundaries, because you do get pushed and smushed and steamrolled, and all of a sudden you're rolling downhill with things that you've always done, and you're like, I have always hated this, and then you're mad and fried. So no can be quiet. Also, don't respond, don't participate, don't show up. You are not required to make other people comfortable. And I think this is the biggest one in the holiday season. You don't owe anybody anything. You owe everything to yourself, and trying to keep the cup full and balanced requires no at certain points, okay? So don't keep taking on things. Don't give gifts. Don't agree to exchange things that you don't want, right? Don't participate, okay? So here's the next one. So number 6 on this list is say no. Practice it. It's uncomfortable and weird and awkward at first, but it gets easier, I promise. Will people think you're bitch? I got a lot of family members who think I am. I've tried to have constructive conversations. They're not hearing me, so I don't participate anymore. It's okay. Like, too bad, I don't know if you guys have seen the meme that it's like, the personality that you get from me is in response to what you're giving, kind of thing. Like, oh my God, all these people think this person's so amazing, except these people think she's a witch. Like, it's whatever. It's okay. Protect yourself first. Take care of you first. Oxygen mask first, okay? All right. So number 7 is the biggest one, the most constructive, and kind of the, as I spill water everywhere. Actually, I did. This is the big one. Okay, so number 7 on the holiday self-care basics, and it's not basic. I'd like it to be basic, which is why it's on this list. What is really difficult about the holiday season for you? It's the journaling prompt and project. Look at that. Identify what it is. If you find yourself stressed in this season, and this morning I did, okay? So take some time and go, what is it about the season that I have difficulty navigating? Why is it not my most balanced time? Why don't I feel amazing about it? Why don't I feel really comfortable in it? Where does the sadness and the anxiety and the depression or the anger come from? Okay? Spend some time acknowledging what it is at this time that you have difficulty with, okay? It's huge. Is it that things are moving at a busy, busy pace and you don't feel like there's time to breathe or time to do nothing, right? Is it about the spending money? Is it because you may not have the resources you'd like to have and be able to give in a way that you'd like to give, and that's disappointing and frustrating personally in your own finances? Or is it about the giving because you're getting crappy gifts from people that aren't thoughtful, that don't resonate with you, that there's no use for? Like, why are we wasting money? Or is this about understanding some bigger picture things in the world? Like, we've got some real issues to solve, and I don't need another plastic set of tongs in my kitchen that are going to end up in the ocean. What I need is for us to make some changes about what kind of products we're bringing in and what kind of foods we're, that kind of thing. So identify where the issue is and what you have trouble with. 4, unresolved relationship issues. And I feel this is one of the biggest, or the biggest, right? Is it because you start to bump up against people that you always have the same issues with, that they're just unresolved? So this becomes okay, then how am I going to solve these things that I have such an issue with? Because once you've identified why the season is so difficult for you, then it is your responsibility of how you heal them, right? Healing is about making something better. How are you going to make the things you find most difficult and challenging better for yourself in gentle ways, but real straightforward? I'm taking responsibility for this. The relationship ones are big. There are some people you may not be able to have a one-on-one conversation with to try to work things out. Maybe there are people who have passed that there are unresolved issues with, and that just becomes really loud at this time of year. Maybe you've tried with people before and they're not receptive. They're not going to have it. They're not going to do it. Okay, so here's the last bit that we have time for me to share today, and it's the last thing on my list to share with you all today. I do think it's really important to try to deal one-on-one with people, right? To have conversations, to hear each other. You may not always agree, but sometimes just hearing and saying things diffuses them and lets them heal, and then you don't have as much trouble at this time of year. In addition to that, some people won't hear you. Some people are no longer here to hear you, right? So my favorite technique and tactic, I've been doing this since I was like 18. I still, to this day, forget about it sometimes until things get to a certain place, and then I go do it, and then it's unbelievably changing. Write a letter to this person. Dear so-and-so, okay? So if this person is alive and well, if this person has passed and has transitioned to the other side, dear whoever they are, I need you to hear this. And you can say, just write everything that if you were unbelievably brave, that you would say to their face. All the things that were hurtful, all the things that got said that were done, and take ownership where you need to, and just be angry and sad, or just flat out like all the things you wish you were brave enough to say to their face, right? In this letter. And so get it out. Write a letter to these people, to this person. Then write how you wish it went. I wish it were like this. I do. I really wish that when we engaged with each other, that this is the energy, and this is how we were heard, and this is how we communicated. And then at the very end of the letter, to the guides and guardian angels of this person, please send these messages in a way that can easily and be quickly understood by this person, with love and light for the highest and greatest good of all involved. Put your name at the bottom, sign it like a letter. Then, in a fire-safe place, go burn it up. Let the ethers, let divine spirit, let the energies take care of it. You have energetically put direct intention into those messages, and you are now putting it into the ethers and saying, I'm going to let the cosmos handle it. I'm going to let those messages get to that person. And if they're open and receptive, they're going to hear and hopefully transition some things. And if they're not open and receptive, I've cleaned out my energetic space, and I'm not carrying as much of it when I come in contact with this person, when I'm moving around in the world. And it can make huge transitions. So I'm not saying don't deal with things face on, but I am acknowledging that in certain seasons with certain people and personalities, it's very difficult to get into that level of like, always give it to God, right? Always give it to the guardian angels. They're far more powerful. They're not dealing with the 3D realm and a body. Let them handle it, right? You don't get help and assistance unless you ask for it. So ask for it. And ask for it in a really constructive way. If you're writing a letter, you're still having a conversation, you're processing your own emotions with it. These are powerful things for change. So those are my 7 holiday self-care tips. I hope you implement some of them. I know that the unicorns on UnicornWellness.Studio do, because you're on the mat, you're aware of your hydration, you're in meditation, and you're looking at the tarot. So these are huge pieces as it goes. But this is like an extra 7 to be looking at from now, through January, of really how to deal with some of the bigger things. and make some shifts in them where you felt like you couldn't make some shifts in them prior. I'm checking the Instagram messages and over here. I'm getting a countdown clock on Instagram. Thank you all for being with me for this Tangent Tuesday. I'll be here next week. And then if you want to rewatch this, head over to the new YouTube channel. You can search Unicorn Wellness and you can watch it anytime in perpetuity. There you go. And then we're going to look at the YouTube comments real fast before we close out here too. Okay. Yeah. Meet them where you are, where they're at. I mean, that's hard. Yeah. So Chris, this is a great one. And this is a great space to close out with. We get a little extra time on YouTube on these days. That, yes. So people can only meet you where they are, right? Like they can only communicate and at their level of growth. That's really frustrating. Like it's really frustrating. It's difficult. It's challenging. It's frustrating because we have our feels and our understanding. We're like, why can't they just meet us here? But they can only meet you at their level of understanding. So some of it you have to just drop. And that's why I'm saying this letter writing technique can be so powerful, because let their soul figure it out. Let them have an aha moment and let guidance drop something in their ear and maybe an understanding of why the relationship between you all is so rough, or why they get the response from you that they get, right? So I think that the letter writing relieves us of those energies, and that's really the most powerful, important piece, because we can say, drop it, move on. They can only meet us where they are. All of that's well, fine, and good. We practically still have an energetic, emotional, and cognitive experience that's unsatisfying, uncomfortable, bruise negativity, and bruise blocks in ourselves. So we still have to have a way to work with that, to bring it to a better space, okay? So Chris, my love, work on your letters. You know, it's true. Your girlfriend's totally correct. You know, like they can't, not everybody can understand. They just can't. And that sucks. But we, right, the wound that you have is probably not your fault, but the healing is absolutely your responsibility. This is where that, you know, phrase comes into play. So when they're not open to having a dialogue, how can we navigate it? Go to energy, go to spirit, because that's magic. And sometimes it's the fiercest magic, right? And this is why people who are, you know, however you translate these things, right? The prayer, giving things to God. It's not this relinquishing, I don't know how to handle it. Like you got to do the doing. You got to at least try to have a conversation, I think. But there are some people like you can't. So how are we still going to solve for our own healing, right? And sometimes that letter just allows us to acknowledge feelings that we haven't expressed, that we didn't really know that were there, and that lightens the load. Don't you worry, I got letters to write this season too. You know, we all do, so you're not alone. All right, you all. I'm going to sign off. Thank you for joining me for Tangent Tuesday. I'll be here next week. Lesson 3 of the Moon Mama session goes up on Sunday. If you want to book a personal session with me, you head over to tandygutierrez.com. I will put the links below. If you want to work out with me, then you head over to UnicornWellness.Studio. If you want to take these sessions, those videos are here on my channel. We're starting with Moon Mama next month. We have witches work, and I'll be talking more about that next week and the following week. And I think that's it. If you want to buy my handbook, then head over to Amazon, the Unicorn Wellness Handbook. And then we have the podcast, anywhere you listen to a podcast, the Unicorn Wellness Podcast. I love you all very much. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I will see you next week.